Hey guys, welcome back to this week's video. I'm not a big fan of reading trends and predictions posts for upcoming years, mainly because it's the same people talking about the same thing every year, over and over and over and over. It's clickbait many times, it's link bait, and at the end of the day, it really is recycled thought leadership. And so being that it's 2020, the year of chaos, the year of uncertainty, the year when things shouldn't be happening that are actually happening, I myself decided to do my first predictions post for 2021. And it's not the top 5 or the top 10 or the top 20 or the top 99 predictions. It really is only one. And it's one that I think is very important that brands today need to pay attention to. And I call it Agile storytelling. So what exactly is Agile storytelling? Well, I think it's first important to define what Agile or agility means. And it's the ability to do things quickly and easily. And that's exactly how brands today need to be able to tell their stories. Skip the subtleties, skip the unnecessary branded PSAs, and get right to the point. Go from the setup of the story directly to the payoff in near real time. One thing that we learned in 2020 is that screen fatigue is a real thing, and it makes consumer attention even more at a premium than what it used to be. And that's a challenge for brands. How do you articulate a story in 3 to 5 seconds in order to drive some type of action or behavior change with the audience you're trying to reach? Now, I'm not the type of person that's going to say, here are your top trends for 2021, go figure it out. I want to equip you with some just thinking and some actionable steps for you to think about as you begin to embrace this idea of agile storytelling for your business as we move into the new year. So the first thing that you need to ask yourself is your narrative flexible enough, and do you have the authority to talk about topics and trends and stories that aren't necessarily about your business? Do you have the respect from the market and your customers and prospects to listen to what you have to say when you have an opinion about something? That's the first thing. Now, the second thing really is kind of 3 in 1. If you've worked in project management or operations, you might have heard the idea of people, process, and technology, and that's really what it is. And this kind of methodology can be applied to pretty much everything, right? There's always a people component. There's always some type of process that needs to be followed. And then technology, which helps facilitate the movement of the program moving forward. So I want to talk very quickly about each of those subsets, because these are things that are going to be very important in order for you to operationalize this content engine, allowing you to drive stories and tell stories faster. So when I talk about people, I really mean your team. Now, that team could be an extension of your team internally. It could be an agency partner where they are creating content on your behalf. But part of that team, there are certain roles that need to be kind of aligned with this content engine. Number one, it's an editor. It's a copy editor. Somebody who can write headlines and write content quickly. You need a creative person who is quick and agile. Someone who doesn't necessarily need a creative brief to create something awesome. And you need a community manager, maybe somebody on the brand side who can help articulate certain comments or words or angles that are relevant to not just the conversation in the marketplace, but also aligned indirectly to your brand. So that is the team component. Now, the process perspective is really that editorial function, right? It's when you are creating content, and let's say you work for an agency and you get that content, it's completed. How do you get that to your client so that they can approve it quickly and you can get it posted, right? So many people call it an editorial workflow or a content process. I like to call it the content supply chain, right? It's taking an idea into an asset and all the steps in between. That is exactly what a supply chain does. The last thing is platforms or technology. Now, there are a lot of platforms out there like Sprinkler and Khoros and others that help facilitate the movement of protocols and workflows. So being able to create content, putting it into a system, sending it to whoever needs to approve it, they can then approve it. It then goes back to you approved, and then it gets published. Now, all of this has to happen quickly, right? So when I say agile storytelling, it's not just being able to articulate a message within 3 to 5 seconds. It's being able to create content in 3 to 5 seconds. I'm kidding, within an hour or two, because I talk a lot about real-time listening. And so being able to get a pulse of the market and what they're talking about or your audience, and being able to, ideate and create and publish within that same relevancy time period. That is how brands today are going to rise above their competition. And that's what I'm seeing in 2020. And moving into 2021, as I said, we are going to see more of a rapid adoption of this moving forward. And that's it. That is my predictions piece for 2021. My first ever trends video in this case that I've ever written in the history of my career. But again, it's not something that I'm doing just to drive engagement or clicks. I truly believe in my heart that brands are going to start adopting this idea of agile storytelling. Now, let me just add one more thing. I did not come up with this name. Agile storytelling has been mentioned before in a different context, more so within the kind of the vertical of sales and sales enablement. But in this case, when you combine the idea of being agile and being able to storytell or produce content quickly and articulate it in a quick way, that to me is what I would call agile storytelling. And I do believe, again, that brands will start adopting this in 2021. I'm already starting to see it in 2020. So if you found any value whatsoever in this video, please subscribe to my channel, like my video, share my video. You can't comment on my video because I turn comments off. But if you want to engage with me on Twitter about the video or on LinkedIn, I'm happy to do that. Again, I really do appreciate you. I appreciate the support this in 2020 when I first launched this video series. So thank you. Please stay healthy. And until see you next time, take care.